Good evening and welcome. I am Yvonne Owens Hanson, and I welcome you on behalf of the Alpha Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, along with the Brothers of Epsilon Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Tonight, we present to you our coroner's edition of Meet the Candidates, Orangeburg County's coroner. Now we will have greetings by each of our presidents. Thank you and welcome again for being engaged.
On behalf of the Epsilon Omega chapter representing Orangeburg, Calhoun, Allendale, Bamberg counties, the Xi Psi chapter of South Carolina State University, the Lambda Sigma chapter of Claflin University, and the Sigma Theta chapter of Voorhees University, we consider it a privilege to be able to collaborate with the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta to host this candidates forum. On this evening, we look forward to hearing from the candidates for Orangeburg County coroner. We hope that at the end of tonight's forum, the citizens of Orangeburg County would be in position to make enlightened choices as it relates to their selection for the position of coroner. Again, as we look forward to the upcoming election season, we just want to say to all of our citizens, it is very important that we all get engaged, stay engaged. We want to make sure that we understand the value of voter empowerment and making sure that we get out the vote. So again, we are delighted to be here, and to everyone, good evening.
Good evening. I am Chandra Gibbs, and I have the pleasure of serving as our chair of our Social Action and Political Action Committee with the beautiful ladies of the Alpha Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. We have partnered with the Omega Men, the Epsilon Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and we've partnered with them tonight to bring this time of education to you, to our community, to make sure that you are informed. This is an informed occasion tonight to make sure that you are engaged voters, but that you are informed voters as we meet the candidates that are running for Orangeburg County coroner. It's been my pleasure to work alongside Brother Moses Brown and the team of Epsilon Omega that has worked tonight to provide you this time for you also to ask questions. And so I do want to make sure that we acknowledge our chapter bacillus, our chapter president, Mrs. Connie Porti, and we have many, many, many different women that are working together to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our community through the service that we provide here with Zeta. I am also, I want to pass it on over to you, Brother Moses, for you to greet and greet our visitors this evening.
Thank you, Sister Gibbs. Greetings again. My name is Moses Brown. I am the Voter Education and Registration Chair of Epsilon Omega Chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Voting is a vital part of any democracy, democratic society. This candidate forum is Omega Psi Phi, and Zeta Phi Beta way to engage our community around each upcoming election. Because sororities and fraternities are nonpartisan and rooted in the local communities, they are well positioned to sponsor forums and increase public understanding of the education process and the candidates running. A candidate forum is also a powerful tool to advance the public policy goals of your nonprofit. Whether your organization needs support for an issue, wants to change state law, or simply want to increase awareness of your issues or constituency, a successful candidate forum during an election year will build awareness of greater recognition for your organization and the community in which we serve. The greater Orangeburg community, the greater Calhoun County community, and the greater Bamberg community as well. Thank you all and enjoy the forum.
What we will do prior to us giving the outline for tonight's forum, we do want to give an opportunity to our chapter basileus of the Alpha Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta sorority to greet us this evening. And then I will come back on to give you the outline of how we will proceed for the rest of this evening. Thank you.
Greetings. I am Connie Porti, president of Alpha Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. It is indeed an honor to be a part of this Meet the Potential Candidates Forum for Orangeburg County Coroner seat. We're excited because this is our first collaboration with the Brothers of Epsilon Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. President Fred Mack, thank you for partnering with us, because being a part of the D9 family, we understand the significance of informed decision-making, especially when it comes to electing individuals who will serve our communities with integrity and compassion. Once again, welcome, and we look forward to constructive and enlightening discussions with our potential candidates.
Good evening again. And so it is that I will begin to pass off and we'll pass off into to those men and women that will be inquiring of our candidates this evening. And the format will be that all of our candidates will join the stage. And as they join to the stage with those that will be asking them their questions, they will be able to provide a brief intro of their platforms. And after they have provided their platforms, then they will go into the question and answer session. We have been intentional this evening by including our undergraduate members. Those are those students that attend either South Carolina State University or Claflin University. And we also will allow for those of you that have your questions that are engaged with us from our audience, please, we encourage you to put them in the chat. And as you put them in the chat, those questions will be asked to them. And so thank you and enjoy as we bring on our candidates. Good evening. We will start with a 2-minute intro. If you don't need all the time, you don't have to use it, but we will start with a 2-minute intro. And we will start with candidate Golden. Then we will have candidate Fogel. and then we will conclude with candidate Haynes.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Valencia Golden. I'm a deputy coroner with Orangeburg County Coroner's Office. And I would like to thank you all for allowing me this time opportunity to speak with everyone and make sure that they have informed information as they go to the polls and vote. So thank you.
Candidate Haynes, I guess we'll go with you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta sorority and also the men of Omega Psi Phi for allowing this opportunity to be able to have the citizens of Orangeburg County to be able to make an informed, educated decision about who's going to be the next coroner of Orangeburg County. I, Montez Haynes, am a native of Orangeburg, South Carolina. I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a preacher, I'm a former educator, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a deputy coroner. I work in real estate as well. I have a license to sell insurance, death care insurance. Also, I'm a licensed mortician as well. The co-founder of Greater Orangeburg Funeral Home and also Dignity Mortuary and Cremation Services. And my platform is simply to make sure that the community is educated on the responsibilities of the coroner's office, to be visible, to be vigilant, to have integrity when it comes to the coroner's office as well. And to also make sure to educate the community about death care. And be able to be proactive when it comes to death care as well. Many times the coroner is seen only when deaths occur, but my mission is to make sure that the medical field and also coordinate with law enforcement to make sure that the citizens of Orangeburg are educated on deaths and proactive approach to death as well, so that some of these deaths can be prevented as well. I am also a graduate of Claflin University, Columbia International University. I have a master's and also honorary doctorate degree in theology as well. And so thank you again for this opportunity. Good evening, Mr. Fogel and Ms. Golden as well. And I'm also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, where I serve as the treasurer.
Thank you for allowing me this time to address the citizens of Orangeburg County. And thank you to the fraternity and sororities that are sponsoring this event on this evening. My name is Sean Fogel. I'm Chief Deputy Coroner for the Orangeburg County Coroner's Office. I have over 20 years experience in medical legal death investigation. And my platform is simple, with education, collaboration, and accreditation, giving the community a chance to get the information that is needed, not only at the time of death, but information prior to death, as well as to enhance our presence with not only law enforcement and those agencies that we work with directly, but as well community and civil groups as well, to promote more in the community. And accreditation with bringing our office up to standard, having independent auditors to look at the practices and procedures of what goes on in the coroner's office. So again, I thank you all for this time, and just thank everyone for being with us on this evening. Thank you.
With our first question, and then we will also be joined by Victor Blue. He'll be introducing himself when his question arises. We also will have Justice Bell, who will be introducing herself and her chapter when her time arises. And we also have Mr. Brian Young, who will be joining us as well. And so they will be. And then you may have another special guest that pops in as well. But we will begin these questions tonight for our candidates. And again, we want to make sure that we are allowing each of you the time to share. And so we do ask that you keep your questions concise and your answers, concise as we proceed tonight. And so our very first question to our candidates is, do coroners conduct investigations into death independently of law enforcement? And so our very first question has been brought to us tonight is, do coroners conduct investigations into death independently of law enforcement? And we will start with Ms. Golden.
Thank you. So to answer that question is yes and no. The objective of law enforcement and coroners when a death occurs is to approach each unknown death as a crime, as if a crime has occurred, and then work our way backwards from there. Once it has been established that a crime has not occurred, most times that is the end of law enforcement's investigation. However, the coroner's investigation is not complete at that time. Even if a crime did not occur, we are still charged with finding the cause and manner of death in each investigation. In some cases, the coroners are investigating cases and we come across things that may seem suspicious. At that point, we will contact law enforcement and bring them in on our investigation at that point. So the answer is yes and no. We do have cases where we do work independently of law enforcement, and there are cases that we do not work independently of law enforcement. But law enforcement is always in mind when we do look at these cases in the event that we will need them.
Candidates Haynes or Candidates Fogle, please feel free to add.
Well, to answer the question, do coroners investigate death independently? And the answer is yes. If the death appears natural or unexplained at the time, yes, the coroner may be investigating why and how that individual may have died. During that investigation, if things turn up to show otherwise, that there was some type of criminal activity or that may have occurred, at that point, yes, we will then get in touch with law enforcement to further the investigation.
Deaths are always assumed that it is a crime first. Then when there has not been found to be a crime, then the coroner can proceed with their job of finding out what the cause and manner of death is. And if the death seems to be a suspicious death where there seems to be foul play involved or some type of crime, then you report those things to law enforcement. So then you two can work hand in hand to make sure that the death has been answered and that you have the answer for what happened at the time of death and what happened to cause the death as well. So the death care is really the responsibility. Investigation starts with the coroner first. And at that time, if the death is not something that can be explained from the coroner from this investigation that they do, then it goes into law enforcement's hand. And then you work simultaneously with them to make sure that the death answer has been explained and answered.
Thank you. Brother Young?
Thank you, Sister Gibbs. Good evening, candidates. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Second question is, I'd like to start off by saying, as we all know, all politics is local. And in this day and age of social media, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, everyone has different views on the electoral process, especially in their local areas. Why should we as Orangeburg citizens or citizens of Orangeburg County care about who's the coroner? Why is that so important to the citizens of Orangeburg County? Ms. Golden, we'll start with you.
Thank you. You should care who is coroner because the coroner is the one that's writing the final chapter of your loved one's life. You need to have a coroner that thoroughly investigate the events around your loved one's death so that they can be able to defend the cause and manner of death as they close this chapter. The coroner needs to be able to be open-minded in investigating each death on its events, circumstances, merit, independent of what they have previously found in other cases or similar cases. So this is why it's very important that you should care who you elect as coroner.
Thank you so much. Mr. Fogle, that same question.
Yes, everyone should care for several reasons. One, because if you have someone that's not qualified or properly trained, the actions or the lack thereof could cause a criminal to go free on a technicality of something that the coroner may have missed. As well, you want someone in that position that can properly diagnose the conditions that are going on with the individual. So yes, everyone should care as to why this individual is seeking the position or wants to be coroner, because there are several factors that play into making sure that this family get the resolution and the answers that they need, not only just for the death certificate and satisfying that, but bringing closure to the family as well and making sure that they have the information they need.
Thank you so much. Mr. Haynes, that same question.
The coroner is the second highest elected official in the county. It's important because they make decisions that can jeopardize your life insurance. They make decisions that jeopardize whether a person who committed a crime will be set free. They have to have skills, the knowledge, and be integral when it comes down to dealing with death as well. Even when it comes down to each scene needs to be something that is properly investigated to make sure that you get the proper cause and manner of death. That's an important thing for a person to know exactly how a person passes away. Medically, it's important as well, because this is how we give our data based upon what happened at the cause and manner of death, so that we can properly understand what happened during those times as well. The proper coroner needs to be elected as well, because you have to have a certain level of compassion to deal with people during the most vulnerable time of their life. There's nothing worse than finding yourself on the end of finding out a person has passed away. So the coroner's job is something that goes far beyond just saying that a person has passed away or pronouncing them dead. It goes to making sure that the county has been ran properly through administration as well when it comes down to budgeting. Because there's a budget that needs to be met as well. Make sure that the county is properly staffed, that you have the proper deputy coroners that can do death investigations as well. So that person needs to be well-rounded when it comes down to skills and knowledge and experience, because experience is something that is definitely needed to make sure that deaths are properly investigated when it comes down to the coroner's office. So it's very important. More important than sometimes we realize, but we want to make sure that you're educated on why a coroner's job is such a vital part of the county.
Thank you so much, Candace, for your answers. Next question. Why should we choose you as the next coroner of Orangeburg County? Why should we choose you as the next Orangeburg County coroner? Ms. Golden.
You should choose me as your next Orangeburg County coroner because, one, compassion matters. I'm concerned about my families when they have experienced the loss. I work with my families every day. I hear what they're saying. I experience the grief, and I hear the grief in their voices. I make sure that they're never alone in the moment. We've cried together. We've hugged. I've sat. I've listened to them. I'm never unreachable when it comes to my family, even if it's late at night. I always tell my families, if I don't answer, give me a few minutes and I will give you a call right back. It also matters because commitment matters. I'm committed to the service. There is not one person in Orangeburg County or abroad that if they call upon me that I do not answer or respond. It can be the coroner. It can be my fellow colleagues. It can be family. It can be local law enforcement agencies, state, federal. If I don't have an answer for them at the moment, we will find one together. And experience matters. I worked in Orangeburg County as a deputy coroner. In 2023 alone, personally investigated approximately 365 death investigations myself. And they all included naturals, suicides, homicides, accidentals, child fatalities, motor vehicle collisions, even an aviation accident. And I worked with these with the local, state, federal, military investigators. And that does not include the death notifications and assistance that I've given to other agencies and counties as well. And that doesn't include all the death investigations that I have assisted my fellow deputy coroners in as well. So experience matters. So needless to say, I have a family that's truly understanding of the service that I'm providing to the community. And they appreciate the service that I've provided to the community. So that's why I make sure that everybody know that this service is truly a service over self.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Mr. Fogle, same question.
Sure. Main reason is experience and leadership. As I previously stated, I've been in the coroner's office for 20 years. And while most people only see the coroner as someone that's pronouncing death, there are many other things involved with the coroner that the coroner is responsible for. Some of them have been touched on briefly. But as was previously stated, managing the office budget, making sure that your office, the money that has been allotted to your office through the county is sufficient enough to handle the day-to-day needs that your office need. Making sure that your office is compliant with not only state but federal reporting that is done, and making sure that your office staff is properly trained to issue a cause and manner of death.
Thank you, Mr. Fogle. Mr. Haynes, same question.
I believe I am the best candidate, or you should vote for me as candidate for coroner, because I have extensive experience not only in being a deputy coroner, but I also have experience in running businesses. I've had experience in management, hiring, working hand in hand with my coroner at this point. To properly prepare, hiring new staff, seeing the day-to-day operations of not only just the office, but also on call. I've been preparing myself through education, through trainings that I have been partaking in through the course of time, so that when the time comes, I'll be properly ready to be able to serve the citizens of Orangeburg County. And so my experience, my background, my 20 years in death care, my 26 years in management has prepared me to be the person that can lead Orangeburg County when it comes down to the coroner's office. And I'm also a man of integrity, making sure that I do things the right way and make sure that I do things with care and compassion and empathy and sympathy, so that the citizens of Orangeburg can be comfortable when they're talking to the coroner's office, and that time comes when death has approached their families as well.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Victor Blue, management major representing Claflin University, and current chapter president of the Lambda Sigma chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Candidates, my first question for you guys is, what are some of your term goals as Orangeburg County Coroner? Ms. Golden?
Sure. Some of my long-term goals as Orangeburg County Coroner is, one, to make sure that we are accredited, which will be a process, but this is very important. Being accredited will demonstrate that we are operating, doing investigations on a national and international standards. This is very important in showing that we are providing the best service for Orangeburg County. That will speak volumes for the county. It will speak volumes for the investigators when they go to court to testify. This will speak volumes when insurance companies will have to pay out policies to the family. It is also important that we have certified investigators conducting these investigations. Another goal of mine once I'm in office is to make sure that we are response ready when it's time to go to these calls. Try to be independent of other agencies as much as possible. That will include making sure that each one of our investigators have individual transportation where they will be able to respond to these calls. A mobile response command center, in no matter what type of situation we get involved in, whether if it's on the interstate or at somebody's house, we have a mobile unit that's ready to respond to every need that we will need to investigate a case. So those are some of my term goals once I'm in office.
Thank you. Mr. Fogel, same question.
Sure. My term goals are basically what I stated previously, which is my platform: education, collaboration, and accreditation. And with the educational part is bringing the information to the community, to the county, of what is necessary, not just at the time of death, but prior to as well, because there's a lot of information out there that the community doesn't have or is aware of what the coroner's office actually does and what the coroner's office can provide. The collaboration, once again, is working with law enforcement, bettering our communication and how we interact with law enforcement, lawyers, the medical community, and strengthening that relationship with them, because we need them, they need us. In addition to that, working with community groups, civic groups, and providing the education and the information that the community needs. Thirdly, with the accreditation, as I previously spoke of, having those auditors to come in and look at what is going on in the office. You have an independent set of eyes looking at your office and making sure that the standards and procedures that are in place are of the national standard, and making sure that you're doing things in the right manner to not compromise the case, but that everything will flow nicely. In addition, some of the goals is looking at things that could turn around some of the longevity that we currently have with toxicology, as well as sometimes with x-rays, different things of that nature. What I've already currently been doing is been working with individuals and getting information on grants, because if you're able to get grants and those things, which accreditation actually open up that avenue for you, it makes you available to receive those grants if your office is accredited. But being able to provide those things and leasing the time, because right now families complain, well, toxicology takes this long or whatever, but having those resources where, we could minimize some of that is definitely part of my goal.
Thank you, Mr. Fogel. Mr. Haynes, same question.
My first term goal is to make sure that we hire enough staff to be able to meet the needs of Orangeburg County. There's nothing worse than having a death occur and not having someone on the scene in a timely manner. My first goal is to make sure that we staff the county with enough coroners and enough locations to make sure that we be there in a timely manner, and not only just have staff, but make sure they're properly trained as well. I want to make sure and get funds from the county to be able to have the coroners to go out to trainings so that we can serve the needs of the county as best as we can. I also want to be continue the process of training as well, because I believe that training never ends, education never ends. So part of my term goal is to make sure that we're fully staffed and that we have enough people to meet the needs of Orangeburg County so that they can be there in a timely manner, so that our law enforcement, that our firefighters and people and first responders don't have to be there a long time waiting on someone from the coroner's office to assist them during their time of loss as well. So I will use my experience when it comes down to HR and hiring and also training to make sure that I can implement that in the coroner's office so that we can properly have people trained and also be able to assist people and answer questions and be able to get the resources that people need in a timely manner. So that's my number one goal when entering into the coroner's office, to make sure we have enough staff, make sure they're trained, and to make sure that we can meet the needs of the 90,000+ people that we have in Orangeburg County as well.
Thank you guys for your answers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Justice Bell. I am a senior biochemistry major and member of the Mu chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated on the campus of Claflin University. My first question for you all is, how would you gain the trust of students at both Claflin and South Carolina State University? Ms. Golden?
Well, I wasn't aware that there was a lack of trust between Claflin University and South Carolina State students. However, I can assure them that if there's ever an investigation conducted by the coroner's office, it will be done as it was forestated. The coroner's office will be investigating where we can definitively defend a true cause and manner of death. So hopefully, the service that we provide will help gain trust from both the universities.
Thank you. Mr. Fogel, same question.
Sure. I as well was not aware that there was a trust issue. However, my concern won't be just the trust of the students at Claflin in South Carolina State, but the citizens, all the citizens of Orangeburg County, making sure that whether it's a natural, homicide, suicide, whatever the case may be, that we properly investigated that case and that there were no shortcuts taken, that the information that we provide is true and accurate, and they can trust that we provided and did everything necessary to give and render a cause and manner of death.
Thank you, Mr. Fogel. Mr. Haynes?
Well, Ms. Justin, as a alumni of Claflin University and also a former employee at South Carolina State University, I am the advisor for the Catholic chapters at Claflin and South Carolina State. I believe that trust is something that you gain through relationship. And so being able to see and be visible and to be able to gain the trust of the people comes by making sure that you are there, that you are assisting them, that you are teaching them, that you walking hand in hand with them. That's how you gain the trust of the people. And so I'm already an active part of campus on both South Carolina State and Claflin's campus. So just being a little bit more visual through educating them, I believe will gain the trust of the students and also gain the trust of the parents as well. When their parents leave them on campus or send them to school, they want to feel comfortable that they're safe. And so that me being visible, them understanding who the coroner is, understanding what the function is of a coroner, I believe that's going to gain the trust of the students at South Carolina State and Claflin University. But again, I believe the trust is built upon relationship. And so without relationship, there's usually a lack of trust. So I just want to make sure I have a visible relationship with those students, the staff, and their parents, so they understand that their children and the staff are safe when they're on campus. And I'm going to be there when something happens and when something is not happening.
One of the things that I believe both of the organizations desire to do is to make sure that we were having engaged conversation. And to our candidates, our chat has blown up with questions from our community that they have just truly, so Orangeburg County, thank you. You have truly become an engaged group tonight. And so what we're going to do is we're going to revamp just a little bit. And our social media chair is going to put up these questions. And what we're going to ask is, and I thank you for the flexibility of those that are asking those questions. And so what we'll do is, Beverly, we'll start with you. And then if we can just kind of alternate, between you and our other interviewers, especially with Brian and with Justice and Victor, just as they come up, just alternate who ask, and that's just how we'll flow. But to our community, thank you so much, Orangeburg County, for being engaged tonight with your questions. And so we just wanted to hop on and let you know we're going to divert a little bit, but this is how we want to make sure that we are leaving as informed voters. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beverly Green, and I'm a member of Alpha Omicron Zeta Chapter Social Political Action Committee, a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority. I would like to thank all our guests and our community for joining us tonight. The first question that I have is from someone named Randy Rand, and the question is, what will your first 90 days as a coroner look like, and what will you tackle first? Miss, I can't see her name, Miss Golden.
So my first 90 days will start with getting the staff on hand to be response ready. Response ready is a priority for me. We'll be able to get these scenes and handle the investigation for these families to provide them a service. That will take some work, hiring, training, and getting the proper equipment to do that. But being response ready to serve these communities is a top priority.
Okay, Mr. Haynes.
My first 90 days is to actually acclimate myself with the staff, making sure to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and so we can build upon that, them gaining rapport and relationship with me so that we can know what's needed through the staff to be able to move forward. And also making sure that we are prepared for any type of disasters. I'm actually going through a training now for disasters. And so we want to make sure that we are properly prepared for anything and whatever that can happen. So those are what my 9 days look like, just gaining relationship with the staff, understanding their weaknesses, and being prepared for any and everything.
I'd like to thank you all for that. And now, Mr. Fogle.
Sure. My first 90 days, of course, organization of the office. But in addition to that, I would like to take the time to meet with local law enforcement, not only the sheriff office, public safety, highway patrol, fire, lawyers, funeral homes, all of those individuals, to not only tell them what I'm looking to do in the office, but to hear what they're looking as far as the response from the coroner's office. So that will be my first 90 days of what I'm looking to do or starting off in the coroner's office.
Candace, we have another question from our Facebook family from Ms. Vernell Watson. She's asking, do you believe there is a potential conflict of interest for a coroner to be affiliated with a funeral home? If not, why? If yes, how will you resolve that potential conflict? Ms. Golden.
Well, there was actually a study that was done that said that they recommend that coroners not be affiliated with a funeral home. I can't remember right offhand, but there was one that was actually done. There could be a potential conflict with anyone that's associated with the funeral home. It could be a conflict of interest. A lot of times people, try to figure out where bodies are sent. Why is it going this place? Why is it going that place? And then that's where the conflict of interest come in. How can you determine a cause and manner of death and possibly be servicing those bodies as well? So I can see that there are potential conflicts. I mean, if it comes to the point of integrity of the funeral directors and what because it's something that could be resolved. Everybody's not a bad person. Everybody cannot handle death. Most of the times, and even when starting out, most funeral directors were in the coroner's office because most people cannot handle that. So that would be a discussion on a case-by-case basis that I will have to have. That's not to say that a funeral director is not competent enough to handle the job, but I can see where there could be a possible. And then that's all about if there is one that is being brought to our attention so that it can be resolved.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Mr. Fogel, same question.
Sure. Yes, I've personally believe that, yes, there could be a conflict of interest with funeral directors and being in the coroner's office. Not to say that it hasn't been done, and yes, it is being done. However, what people have to understand is there is a difference and a big difference with working in a funeral home and the coroner's office. Those two are separate. However, to be able to dedicate and devote your time to the coroner's office when you may have a funeral or whatever the case may be, you need to be able to separate the two. And as Ms. Golden previously stated, yes, there are some issues that can arise from that situation. However, I personally, to answer the question, yes, think that there could be a conflict, and I will do my best to minimize making sure that that conflict does not come into the coroner's office under my administration.
Thank you, Mr. Fogel. Mr. Haynes, same question.
There becomes a conflict when there is an issue of integrity, and I have a zero tolerance for those who lack integrity. Integrity is a part of what the coroner's office has to have. Families need to be able to make the decision that they want to go to the funeral home that they choose. They should not be swayed or pressured by anyone that works in the coroner's office to go a particular way. They should not be swayed or pressured to patronize a particular funeral home. We have to make sure that we have a separation between what the coroner's office is and what a funeral home does. And so that's why it's important to vote for somebody with integrity, so that you know that the other businesses are not suffering because a person wants to sway people to go another way for their own gains or for a political reason or any sort. So it becomes an issue when you have elected or you've hired people who lack integrity and lack trustfulness and honesty.
Thank you so much. Thank you, candidates, for your answers.
Okay, LaShonda Morgan says that I work at MUSC Health Orangeburg and run the Tri-County Health Network Coalition. We are the community engagement arm of the hospital and work directly with the community to keep them out of emergency room. If you are elected coroner, you will be joining the work with local health coalitions to keep us informed of what the health issues are in the community, so we will know what the most prevalent health concerns are, so we can prevent death due to health coalitions. Can I get you to respond to that first, Ms. Golden?
I'm reading the questions. I heard you, but I'm reading it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I met Ms. Morgan before and we had this conversation. So I definitely look forward to having those conversations with them as well. And I work with the hospitals and nurses in the hospital as well. So I think that would be a great conversation to have with them. I'm sorry the question popped away from the screen, but yes, Ms. Morgan, I look forward to meeting with you and having these conversations.
Okay, Mr. Haynes.
Yeah, so that's still one of my platforms as well, is education. So the coroner's office receives the numbers and the causes and manners of death, and so those are things that we can give to the community so that we can help them to understand what's happening in the area. For example, if we having an increase with fentanyl or hypertension, the community needs to understand what's going on so they can know how to protect themselves and how to prevent some of these things from happening. And that's when you could partner with your health professionals to be able to do seminars, to do trainings, because we are the ones that have the numbers, we have the data. So it's our, it should be our obligation to be able to communicate with the community about ways can we help prevent these kind of deaths from happening The coroner's office has to have a different approach to death besides just showing up on the scene to pronounce people dead. We have to be able to use the things that we have, the tools, the knowledge, the numbers to be able to help those people who work in the health field so that we can be healthier people and so that we can be proactive when it comes to death as well. So I'm so excited about being able to do that because teaching is kind of my thing and I enjoy it. And so I'm happy to be able to educate people on what ways can we do to prevent some things to happen in death in the healthcare field.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And Mr. Fogel?
Sure. Yes, I would be willing to join in on that coalition. As I previously stated, one of the things that's responsible, the coroner's office is responsible for, is completing the reporting to not only the state, but for federal as well. And that's part of what I currently do with the statistics that go out on the numbers, whether it's now the accidental death, the motor vehicle collisions, all of that information. So yes, if that information is available currently in the office, there's no reason we can't share that information with the coalition to let them know what is going on, what's the trend. This year, it may be motor vehicle accidents. Next year, we may have or see a spike in drug-related death. So having that information and being able to share that not only with the coalition, but the community is definitely part of what I would like to do.
Thank you. So our next question is from Ms. Catherine Jackson. Citizens associate the coroner with death. All candidates have expressed being visible to the citizens. What would that visible educating community look like? Mr. Haynes.
Well, if you have seen me in the community, you know I'm somewhere trying to help people understand what the coroner's office does. I'm a part of quite a few organizations, so I'm always in the community. I'm in the Rotary Club. I'm in Orangeburg Chamber of Commerce. I'm a Kappa. I'm a preacher. I'm in several organizations, and so I'm visible in the community already. And being visible means that I have the responsibility of educating people while I'm there, setting an example, being a role model. And so my visibility is something that I've always done because I'm from Orangeburg. I've always been in the community. I'm in several organizations where I'm a leader in those organizations. So my visibility is present now. And as a coroner, I know it didn't increase, but that's something that I'm passionate about. And I want to make sure when I'm visible that I'm also educating at the same time.
Okay, so with that, I believe we're going to move into, well, my next question is, if elected, will you be open to starting a mentorship program with college students who may want to follow in your footsteps? If so, what steps will you take to start that mentoring program? Mr. Fogel. Actually, I don't think everybody answered the question. But
Yes. Well, yes, I'll be interested in starting a program. I wouldn't necessarily call it a mentorship program, but something geared toward exposing the students that are interested in forensic science, forensic pathology, to see up front what the coroner's office does. Right now, nationwide, there is a shortage in forensic pathology. There are not enough forensic pathologists in the nation. And that's what is causing some of the delay in getting autopsies done, because the pathologists that are out there are overwhelmed. So if we give the individuals that opportunity to see if this is a field that they would like to go into, and hopefully persuade them that we could lessen this shortage, yes, I'm definitely would like to be involved with that. The other part to that, though, is when you talk about something as far as a mentorship program, especially with the coroner's office or any type program like that, you have to look at getting the proper clearance. So now, especially with the schools, but as well with the county, because now you're coming up with issues as far as being that individual being exposed to bloodborne pathogens, infectious disease, and then you have the liability that's on the county and the schools. We tried something like this a few years ago, and there were some issues that we couldn't really continue on with it. So that would really be an issue up front before anything could be started, to see what the liability would be for the county and as well as the school that is participating.
Thank you. Ms. Golden, same question.
Yes, I would be open to a mentorship and a partnership with college students and departments that could provide a positive, synergistic effort with the coroner's office. And I definitely look forward to having those conversations with everyone in the future. So yes, I am open to that.
Okay. Mr. Haynes?
I'm definitely open to that. I currently have 3 mentors that I have now, and I'm open to, but they're high school students at this time. They're students from the healthcare professional school, but I'm also open to college students being in there. But the part that we have to be mindful about is HIPAA laws that protect people and protect their personal information. So we're very careful about how we mentor people in those fields, because we want to make sure and protect the citizens. We want to make sure to protect the people in their sensitive times and their sensitive information. But there is a way to be able to still mentor, but also protect the sensitive information that we would have about the people that have passed away and their families as well. So I'm always open to mentoring, but I want to make sure that we understand that mentoring does take a responsibility, and it takes you being very careful and selective about who is being mentored, because it's my responsibility to make sure and protect the integrity and also the information that is being presented to the coroner's office, so that the citizens can have the trust that we're going to make sure that we integral and that we'll keep the information we have confidential.
Thank you for that.
Hello. How can you educate families about organ donation? Is there a specific time after death that organs can be donated? Mr. Fogel?
Sure. Currently within the state of South Carolina, the organization is Sharing Hope. There is a specific time after death. When you talk about organ donation, the individual, in order to donate an actual organ, will have to be in a medical facility on a ventilator in order to donate. Now, if the person dies at home, there's a time limit as far as they are more so a tissue or eye donor, because there's not there's a length of time on that as well, but not like there is for organ donation. And when I say organ, heart, lung, those type organs, because the individual have to, and there's a specific time, the organization have to make sure that the individual, the recipient, is a direct match. And sometimes that recipient could be in another state. Most of the time that recipient is in another state. So they will have to call that team and let them know, hey, we have an individual. That individual is on life support right now. You have X amount of time to get here if you would like to procure this organ. So in addition to that, the educational part with the families is making sure that they're engaged or know what the organization is here in South Carolina. Because a lot of times when the coroner's office respond to a location, depending on the amount of time that individual has died, there may not be a candidate tissue or as an eye donor. So all of those because of what happens to the body at that time. So you have to take all of that into consideration. But as far as an actual organ, that individual must be in a medical facility, sterile medical facility, and on life support in order for that organ to be donated and the team to be able to find the recipient and make sure they are a true match before that organ can be procured and given to the recipient.
Okay, I have a question. What resources you plan to offer families after sudden death? Mr. Fogel, could you take that one first, please?
Sure. Well, when you talk about sudden death or sudden tragic death, resources currently, the sheriff office, highway patrol have victim advocate groups, and those groups are very well prepared in what they do. Now there are additional external agencies out there that we can partner with, like MAD and different things, organization of that nature. But my thing would be to work closely with the groups that are already there, because you need someone that is trained in making sure that the individual is receiving not only the counseling part, but as well as the information and resources that are out there. And Victims Advocate Group already have those resources, especially with the state, to facilitate those families.
Thank you for that, Ms. Golden.
One thing that I see that will be necessary and required is a family resource officer within the department. Not necessarily saying that be the
Where does she go? Okay, until she returns, Mr. Haynes, could you answer that, please?
Sure. One of the most economical ways of providing that kind of services is a callback. It's called aftercare. Aftercare is when you check up on a person who has passed away to find out if there's additional things that they need. And I think that we can't limit it to just sudden deaths, because it doesn't matter if a person died from cancer or a person died by a motor vehicle accident suddenly. We have to follow up with the person to make sure that there's nothing else that's needed. They don't need further assistance, that they don't have questions. So I think we just can't limit it to sudden deaths. And even when there's a sudden death, they may not be qualified for victims assistance, depending on the manner of death. I used to be a volunteer victims assistance as well for the sheriff's office, and it depends on how the person passes away. They may not qualify for victims assistance as well. But I think all deaths should be something that you go back and do aftercare with, and that's something that we currently don't have, and it's something that I want to make sure that we do have, because we just don't want to again show up when a person passes away and then we forget about them. So we have to follow up with them to see if there's anything else that any other questions that they have that we can answer, and if we don't have the answers, then we have to give them the resource and to give them the information to be able to follow up with those situations as well.
I would like thank you for that. And Ms. Golden, I know you got disconnected, so we'd like to give you your opportunity to speak, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But as I was saying, the aftercare is a necessity, because a lot of times, even when the family experienced death and you're talking to them, they still don't remember anything at that point of what you said. They will need assistance in the next steps after the investigators leave the scene or the family room. Counseling resources is a necessity. Crime scene cleanup resources. There are sometimes families have things that they have to deal with after a death. So what kind of resources can we provide for them for that? Assisting them with getting family service members home. We have family who have family abroad. How can we assist them with that? Which is something the coroner's office do. And also, as stated before, assisting with the organ and tissue donation. Some families want to, they don't know that that's a resource that we can assist them with. Yes, for organ donation, they will have to be on the ventilator, but what about tissue? It's required that if there's a tissue donation, that the body must be refrigerated within 12 hours in order for us to continue with that donation. So we are providing the family that option within that timeline for them to honor their loved one's wish. So this will require us working with the county, having a budget to facilitate some of these resources. But I think that it is very important for this to be available for the families.
I would like to thank each of you for those wonderful answers. Okay, my next question for each of you, give an example of how you would tell someone that their loved one is no longer with us, or no longer here, or they're gone. Give us an example. And Mr. Haynes, I will start with you, please.
Well, first, there's no formula to that to answer that question. Each situation requires that you be sensitive to who you're talking to, what group you're talking to know the language in which you're going to use. You have to be mindful that whatever you say during this moment is something that's going to stick with them forever. So sometimes you stay away from the word die. You may use they have transition, they have passed away. And so that question is really based upon who you're speaking with and the mind frame that they're in, and how they're going to process that question. I mean, process what you're saying. So one of the things that I use when it comes down to letting a person know, I apologize. I make sure they understand I'm being sympathetic and empathetic. I apologize that I'm having to be here to give them this information. And I want to tell you, it's with deep sorrow or regret that I have to inform you that your has transitioned or passed away. And then I pause and give them a moment to process that before I go forward.
Thank you for that, Ms. Golden.
Each death notification that I have done has been different. One thing that, and this is how I normally approach the situation. When I go to a person's house, first of all, I need to be very clear that the location that I'm at is the location that I'm supposed to be at. It's nothing worse than going to a location to do a death notification and start the process and it's the wrong house. People's addresses have changed. When I go to a house, first identify myself as Valencia Golden from Orangeburg County. I will not initially say coroner's office. Like I said, it could be the wrong house. I'm looking for person Doe. This person don't live here. Once I confirm that, I confirm whom I'm speaking with. Is it next of kin? Is it a teenager? You need to be very clear on who you're giving this notification to. Ask about the person, when the last they seen them. Do you know where they were at, where they were going? And these questions are fact gathering information beforehand, because once you notify a person that someone has died, you're not going to get any other information out of them. At that point, that might be important to the investigation. Once I confirm I'm at the right place, then I will proceed on to asking them or letting them know that their loved one was in the incident. Is there someone here with you? I never, ever give a death notification that someone is home alone. Do you have a friend that you can call over? Once we get to that point, I will let them know that their loved one was in the incident. They're in the hospital and they're no longer with us. They're deceased. You have to be very sensitive to that, not using words such as gone, because they're going to be trying to figure out gone where. That could be gone to the store. You have to use words that's very clear where they understand that this person is no longer with them. And make sure that at this point we can provide them whatever resources that they need going forward.
I'd like to thank you for that. Now, Mr. Fogel, please.
Sure. Well, actually, Ms. Golden summed it up, because basically that was one of the ways I taught them in the coroner's office of how to really handle death notifications. what they have to realize is two things are going to happen when you make a death notification. One, you have to be although you're sympathetic to the needs of the individual that you're talking to, but at the same time, you have to be very firm and direct in your answer. You want to make sure that you're using the proper terms and terminology. Tell them that they died, because once they hear that, everything prior to that and everything after that, they don't remember. So you have to be very direct with them in your approach. But as well, as she stated, that is one of the ways that I too have acknowledged is when I approach a residence, I ask for the individual, the deceased, because one, that gives me an idea of whether or not I'm at the right location. It lets me know, well, they may say, well, they don't live here or they're not here at the moment. It gives me an idea that, hey, this is the family member. They know who I'm here for. So just going forward with that. And then again, being specific with them. I'm sorry to inform you, but John Doe has died. Letting them know, because once again, that moment, that is going to stick with them. If they don't remember anything else, they're going to hear that. And that's all they're going to remember. And I've experienced several times. The next day, they may call and say, you were at the house, but I don't remember anything you said. And if you don't mind, could you please just go over? And of course, that's what we do. But that is one of the best ways to really acknowledge and make a death notification to a family.
Thank you. I also want to, and I know that we have several comments that are still there in our chat line, but we also want to be mindful of time. And so we do encourage you. All of these candidates have been active throughout their time of announcing, and they are in the community. And so we do encourage you, when you see them have the conversation, they are approachable. They are already serving in several different capacities. So ask the questions. Orangeburg County, again, you have exceeded our expectations in your engagement tonight and your involvement tonight. To our candidates, thank you so very much. We would like to, at this point in time, extend to you the opportunity to give closing remarks to those that will be casting their ballots in June. So we will go as we've done tonight. We will start with you, Ms. Golden. Then we will go to you, Mr. Haynes, and we will close with you, Mr. Fogle.
I would like to say, let the work that I've done speak for me. I have been actively working in the county with the citizens of Orangeburg County as a deputy coroner in the coroner's office. A lot of people may not have had experience with the coroner's office, but they have had family members who have experience with the coroner's office. They've had friends, neighbors. Ask them, what was their experience with the coroner's office in working with Valencia? You can ask law enforcement, your nurses, anybody in the community. Even if you see me in the community, I'm approachable. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to talk to you and continue that conversation. So thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it. This platform that you've allowed me to speak on.
Thank you. Candidate Haynes?
First, I want to say thank you for allowing this opportunity to be able to share on my heart and share my desires for this position as Orangeburg County Coroner. I want to make sure that you are well informed, that you're voting based upon performance, that you're voting based upon experience, that you're voting not for personality but performance. And so I'm here. I'm accessible. If you see me in the grocery store or at Walmart, I can answer any questions that you have. I'm always available to teach. I'm approachable, and I want to be able to serve the community of Orangeburg County in this capacity. And it's my desire to be able to help move Orangeburg forward and to be able to serve the citizens of Orangeburg County and have them be proud that I am the coroner of Orangeburg County for this next election. And so remember on June 11th, please cast your votes, and I'll be happy to be able to be the next coroner for Orangeburg County. I love you all. Be safe.
Thank you, Candidate Haynes. Candidate Fogle.
Sure. First of all, let me say thank you to the sponsors of this event. As I previously stated, I've been with the Orangeburg County Coroner's Office for the last 20 years, and I am Chief Deputy Coroner for Orangeburg County. I would like to continue to serve the citizens of Orangeburg County in the best way possible. This election is not just about the coroner, but there are several key positions up for election. And I ask you to take them all seriously, coroner position as well as the others, because this is a trying time for us all. And we want to make sure that we have the right leadership in place from the president on down to the coroner's office, and making sure that the individual that you have in office is able, capable, and willing to do the job that they were elected to do. And I am willing to do that. I have been doing that, and I would like to continue serving you to do that. So I ask everyone that's listening to get out, not just yourself, take someone with you, go to the polls and make sure that you cast your vote. But the main thing is to vote, get out and vote, because that is a privilege for all of us to be able to do. Again, thank you all, and thank you to the sponsors of this event for allowing me this opportunity to share with the Orangeburg County community. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Fogle. To each and every last one of you, we say thank you. We thank you for joining us tonight. And each of these candidates, they shared their hearts, they shared their platforms, and now we are responsible. We are responsible of citizens Orangeburg County, where we must go to the polls. And on June 11th, 2024, the absentee, you're able to vote already. Well, 30 days prior, but you go ahead and get those things together. But June 11th, 2024, we must make sure that we are there. As candidate Fogle said, this is a very important election. And so we must be engaged voters, we must be responsible voters, but we must also be informed voters. To each of these candidates, we say thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your platforms. And thank you for the desire to serve Orangeburg County. We also want to thank the men of Epsilon Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you for your collaboration tonight. Thank you for being a part of the desire to serve Orangeburg County. And so it is tonight that we say again, thank you. And on behalf of the ladies of the Alpha Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, we say thank you. Please make sure that you are registered to vote. Please make sure that you are engaged in your vote. And when you go on June the 11th, don't go alone, but make sure you bring someone with you. Take a picture. Do all of those great things, but make sure that you cast your ballot, because we want to make sure that we have the best leadership, the capable leadership, and the leadership that is invested in Orangeburg County. Again, we say good night and thank you for joining us.